Om Tadekam Smaramasthadekam Bhajamaha Tadekam Jagat Sakshi Rupam Namamaha Sadekam Nidhanam Niralambamisham Bhavam Bodhiputam Sharanyam Rajamaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. On that alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship, to that alone, the witness of the universe, do we bow. To that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning again, and wishing for all of you all the blessings of Mother's Day. And special salute to all the mothers present. On this day, we celebrate the mother, and that is why the opening song is very appropriate for today's talk. This is a song which Sri Ramakrishna loved very much. And let me read the translation. It describes the direct experience of the mother in the state of spiritual ecstasy. In dense darkness, O Mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. Therefore, the yogis meditate in a dark mountain cave, in the lap of boundless dark, on Mahanirvana's waves upborne. Peace flows, serene and inexhaustible, taking the form of the void, in the robe of darkness wrapped. Who art thou, Mother, seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi? From the lotus of thy fierce scattering feet flash thy love's lightnings. Thy spirit face shines forth with laughter terrible and loud. In dense darkness, O Mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. So the poet, the composer of this song was Trilokyanath Sanyal, a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, and a Brahmo, a member of the Brahmo Samaj. So note, he doesn't refer to any form of the mother, because for the Brahmos, God is formless. So he describes mother here as formless, with her spirit face, her chinmaya mukha. And yet it's a profound song, and Sri Ramakrishna loved it very much. Narendra sang the song, and afterwards M mentioned to Sri Ramakrishna, that song is particularly beautiful. Sri Ramakrishna agreed. He says that you are right. That song has a deep meaning. A part of my mind is still drawn to it. This darkness, that in dense darkness, when all our external senses turn within, it is then in the depths of our own consciousness that we taste this peace, serene and inexhaustible, flowing on the waves of Mahanirvana. It's a mystery. And then Mother is seated in this shrine of Samadhi, the Samadhi Mandir. What a beautiful expression of the inexpressible. When Sri Ramakrishna would hear that line, he himself would enter Samadhi. Mother's Day in this country was first celebrated around the year 1908, when a woman named Anna Jarvis held the first Mother's Day service of worship. It was a service in a Christian church at the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in Grafton, West Virginia. And her mother had also been campaigning for a Mother's Day, and then her mother had passed away, and this was the first one. And it was connected also with the peace movement, with mothers who didn't want to see their children killed in war. And in 1914, Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation designating Mother's Day to be held on the second Sunday in May as a national holiday to honor mothers. So it's a special day, and we always remember, if our mothers are still in the body, to give them a call, if they're close by, to come with flowers and all those things. But, once a year is Mother's Day. For the devotees of Divine Mother, every day is Mother's Day. Every day is Mother's Day, because every day is another day when we can see the Mother, when we can know the Mother. Every day is another day when we can strive to see the Mother deep within us and in all beings, and especially in the female beings. And every day is a day that we strive to dedicate ourselves to the Mother, to fully immerse ourselves in her, to know her, to find her. On many of our lips is the phrase, Jai Ma. We've all taken to this phrase, it seems. And so everywhere I go in the Vedanta circles, devotees are saying Jai Ma, and I'm saying Jai Ma, glory to Mother. What do we mean when we say Jai Ma? If you read the Kathamrita, nowhere in Kathamrita does Sri Ramakrishna say Jai Ma. There's one appearance of the phrase, and that is the devotees on Kali Puja, they're saying Jai Ma. But Sri Ramakrishna himself never used the phrase, it seems. At least is not recorded as doing so in the Kathamrita, the Gospel. And we don't really find that Holy Mother herself is also saying Jai Ma. But we are saying Jai Ma about her, actually. the Mother, glory to Divine Mother, glory, victory, may the Mother be ever victorious. Something like that. But who is this? Who is this Mother? Who is Ma? Sometimes, I think many of us may think of our Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, as such a man. She manifested such a beautiful and heartwarming embodiment of motherhood, of universal motherhood, that she could embrace everyone, both the good and the wicked, as her own children. So we naturally feel drawn to her because we also have some wickedness in us, all of us. So we think, well, at least this Mother won't reject me. Even if anybody else might reject me, this Mother won't reject me. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, was utterly dedicated to Mother Kali. That's his Ishta Devi. You can say Ishta Devata is chosen ideal. The way he chose to approach the divine is through Divine Mother Kali. To turn it just a little bit because I shouldn't have my back towards Mother. How did he look on Divine Mother? On the one hand, Mother was a person with whom he would talk and he would see her and argue with her even. And on the other hand, she's a principle of infinite power, the very power of Brahman, the power that manifests this universe. So he would speak of her as all powerful, all blissful. He would say she is the Lila Mayi, the one who is ever at play. She is the Ichha-moyi, whose will is everywhere victorious. She is the Ananda-moyi, who is ever full of bliss. The very source and end of the universe, the only doer who does everything, we only being her instruments. There's a fascinating tension here between Mother as a person with whom he is talking, like when he visited Keshav Sen's place, the Lily Cottage, and Keshav Sen was ill and hadn't yet come out, and he sees her in the room and he says, "Hello, Mother, I see you have come. How you are showing off in your Banaras sari. Don't bother me now, please. Sit down and be quiet." So Sri Ramakrishna was one that he could tell the Divine Mother when he sees her, sit down and be quiet. I'm busy now. At the same time, he would often quote from this song and sing it often also, Shakoli tomari icha. All is done by thy will, Mother. You are the one who does everything. People say, I am doing, but actually it's you who do. So he would say, I am the instrument, Mother. You are the operator. You are the master. We see the same tension in the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, because for Vivekananda also, Mother Kali was a very real personal force guiding him, with whom he would also sometimes fight. In fact, he would say, "It is glorious to fight Mother." If he had to, he said the only person he ever would fight is Mother. He won't fight anyone else, but he'll fight Mother. So there's an important day in July of 1885 when Swami Vivekananda shared with his intimate disciples at Thousand Island Park some of his very closely held thoughts about Divine Mother. Because from the platform in public work, he did not discuss Divine Mother, but to his intimate disciples. And these are like aphoristic sayings, because Ellen Waldo, who was taking notes, she was just taking longhand. Goodwin wasn't on the scene yet, so there was no shorthand record of his teachings. But we see these aphoristic teachings about Divine Mother. Let's have a look at them. It's just a couple of paragraphs. Mother is the first manifestation of power and is considered a higher idea than Father. The Adi Shakti, the first manifestation of power. All power is actually a manifestation of Divine Mother in this conception. With the name of Mother comes the idea of Shakti, divine energy and omnipotence. Then he likens it to a baby. A baby believes its mother to be all-powerful, able to do anything. Yes, when we're young children, we think our mother is all-powerful. She will protect us and all that. As we get older, then we realize that maybe she wasn't all-powerful in that sense. But as a baby, we realize that, we feel that. In the same way, Divine Mother is all-powerful. Then he also equates the Divine Mother with the Kundalini, the coiled up power sleeping in us. And he says, without worshiping her, we can never know ourselves. So the idea is that the Kundalini must awaken for spiritual experience to take place, for us to know who we are. The Kundalini must awaken. How does she awaken? By worshiping the Mother. He describes the attributes of Mother. All merciful, all powerful, omnipresent are attributes of Divine Mother. She is the sum total of the energy in the universe. Every manifestation of power in the universe is Mother. So when we see a terrific thunderstorm, we also feel maybe we feel a little frightened and we say, Jai Ma. When we see the terrible things happening also, there also power is manifesting in a dark way. There also we say, Jai Ma. He goes on to say, she is life, she is intelligence, she is love. She is in the universe, yet separate from it. And then he says, she is a person and can be seen and known as Sri Ramakrishna saw and knew her. So here we see on the one, at first he's describing her as the power, all power is a manifestation of Mother. And then she is life, she is intelligence, she is love, these universal principles. And yet she is also a person whom we can know. Established in the idea of Mother, we can do anything because she is all powerful. So if we are fully dedicated to Mother, if we are fully surrendered to Mother, we can do anything. But if we are fully surrendered, will we want to do anything? And he says she quickly answers prayer. He assures us that she can show herself to us in any form at any moment. Divine Mother can have form and name, Rupa and Nama, or name without form, having just the name but no form. And as we worship her in these various aspects, we can rise to pure being, having neither form nor name. So for Swamiji, the worship of the mother is a gateway also to the formless, to the infinite, beyond name and form. She can show herself to us in any form at any moment. So that really makes me feel that she is actually doing that all the time. She is continually showing herself to us, only we don't have the eyes to see. When a mother cat is taking care of her kittens and loving her kittens, Swami Vivekananda says, stand and pray. God is manifest there. That is the Divine Mother right there, showing herself to us, if we but have the eyes to see. So Sister Nivedita had written this wonderful story for baby Leggett about the story of Kali, where she describes Kali as the great mother who is always peeping at her children, playing peekaboo. And if we can catch the mother peeping, then we attain the fulfillment of our life. So we have to see that Mother is peeping at us through the children, through the flowers, through the thunderstorm, even perhaps when we attain to that level of understanding, through the wicked person. Sri Ramakrishna saw the Divine Mother also in the prostitutes. We think prostitutes are terrible. Sri Ramakrishna saw them also as Divine Mother. He says, a bit of mother, a drop was Krishna. Another was Buddha. Another was Christ. A drop, just a drop of mother. So, of course, he's a staunch devotee of the mother. And the worship of even one spark of mother in our earthly mother leads to greatness. So if we can see Divine Mother in our earthly mother and worship her, that leads to greatness. So we see even Vivekananda did this, though he caused so much suffering to his mother by becoming a monk. At the end of his life, he also took her on a pilgrimage to East Bengal and Assam and assuaged her heart, I think, to some extent. And then he says, worship her if you want love and wisdom. So it's interesting, we've been reading the new edition of the letters of Swami Vivekananda. And especially in the later letters, he's continually referring to mother. And I don't know why, he often puts the word mother in quotes. He said, mother, mother says, or mother does, mother's will. He evidently was receiving the direct commands of the mother. I want to return to this idea of Sri Ramakrishna's that the Divine Mother, or that God, the divine reality, is the only doer, is the doer, and we are just instruments. And how do we understand that? Sri Ramakrishna again and again equates true knowledge, jnana, with the understanding, with the knowledge that it is God that does everything and that we don't do anything actually. And I'll read a quote. What is knowledge? And what is the nature of this ego? God alone is the doer and none else. That is knowledge. I am not the doer. I am a mere instrument in the divine hand. Therefore I say, O Mother, thou art the operator and I am the machine. Thou art the indweller and I am the house. Thou art the driver and I am the carriage. I move as thou movest me. I do as thou makest me do. I speak as thou makest me speak. Not I, but thou, but thou. That's one of his mantras. I've mentioned this a few times, that he's given to us a kind of a short aphoristic prayer. Not I, but thou, thou. Naham, naham, tuhu, tuhu. It's a kind of It's like a prayer. It's almost like a mantra that we can use to remind ourselves of this attitude of surrender to the mother. Let the mother do what she will. And he gives a nice example to help us understand this. He says, one cannot see God as long as one feels, I am the doer. And then he gives the example of a big house with many people in it and many workers there. And the master of the house has given charge of the storeroom to a worker, an employee. So anything is needed for the kitchen or for other things, it will go to the storeroom, and the keeper of the storeroom will give those items. Now, he says, suppose if someone asks the master, sir, will you yourself kindly give me something from the storeroom? Then the master says to him, there is already someone in the storeroom. What can I do there? So place someone in charge of the storeroom, so why should he go there? So what does that mean? I was thinking about it. It's a beautiful image that the storeroom, if the storeroom is our heart, and we ourselves are standing in the storeroom, then how is the mother going to come there? Because we are in the storeroom. How is she going to come? We are sitting here in our heart. Why will mother come? Why will God come and show himself, herself to us in our hearts? Where else will we see God but in our hearts? So, but if we are sitting here, then how will she come? So if the Divine Mother is the karta, the doer, and we are all akarta, then naturally the question arises, what about wicked people? What about sin? Why then, if she is the only doer, why then are there so many wicked people? Sri Ramakrishna answers this in a kind of roundabout way. He doesn't say, well, he says, in this divine creation, there are all sorts of things that the divine has created, bad people as well as good people. It is he who gives us good tendencies, and it is he again who gives us evil tendencies. And then someone raises this objection, or asks in a kind of confused maybe, in that case, are we not then responsible for our sinful actions? What does Sri Ramakrishna say? Sin begets its own result. This is divine law. Won't you burn your tongue if you chew a chili? You know, the Hindu scriptures don't have any reference to chili. They have many references to things in nature, but not to chilies. Why? Because they actually came from this continent. And so they're a relatively late addition to the Indian cuisine. But now Sri Ramakrishna has added this example to the Hindu scriptures, because he is saying, if you eat a chili, if you chew on a chili, your tongue will burn, is it not? So he's using this to illustrate the principle of karma. If we do some wicked thing, we will burn, and we'll taste the result. And then he says, in his youth, Mathur, that means Mathur Babu, the proprietor of the Kali temple, you can say manager, he says, Mathur led a rather fast life in his youth. So he suffered from various diseases before his death. So it's a little confusing. Sri Ramakrishna says, on the one hand, it's Divine Mother's will that there are all types of people in this universe. And on the other, if we do wicked things, we will suffer the results. One of the Dhammo devotees asks him, if it is God that makes me do everything, then am I not responsible for my sins? Can I put it on God? Sri Ramakrishna smiled when he answered. He smiles and answers him. He says, yes, Duryodhana also said that. Duryodhana, the bad guy of the Mahabharata, who would not give the Pandavas even one little village to live in. He said, O Krishna, I do what thou, seated in my heart, makest me do. But then Sri Ramakrishna says, if one has the firm conviction that Ishvara alone is the doer and I am the instrument, then one cannot do anything sinful. One who has, and then he gives this example, one who has learned to dance and becomes an expert dancer never makes a false step. The expert dancers, they always dance perfectly because they have been trained so perfectly. Just like that, one who knows that it is God alone that does everything, that it is Mother alone who does everything, and I am just her instrument, I can't do anything wrong. So if I do something wrong, then I know that it's not, that I've gotten in the way and that I'm not letting Mother do everything through me. Without inner purity, he says, even the faith that God exists doesn't come. Connected with this idea of Mother as the doer, I'd like to connect it with an annual worship of Mother Kali called the Phalaharini Kali Puja. Phalaharini means, Phala means fruit, and Harini means she who takes away. So Phalaharini Kali is Mother Kali who takes away the fruits. The fruits of what? The fruits of our karma, the fruits of our action. She liberates us by taking the fruits of our karma. And there's a special worship of Phalaharini Kali Ma every year around this time, in the month of Jyeshtha, the Bengali month of Jyeshtha, which is done on the new moon, typically in May. And of course, this actually falls on the next new moon, which is on Saturday, will be this Phalaharini Kali Puja. But it is very well known because this is the night on which Sri Ramakrishna offered worship to Sri Sarada Devi, Holy Mother, in his room at Dakshineshwar. No one else was present. It's a wonderful and deeply profound incident in both of their lives. And I'd like to read some of the descriptions of that event from Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, written by Swami Saradananda. I think many of you know about this incident, but perhaps some of you don't. It's very inspiring for me to remind myself of it once again. And he described how it is the new moon day, the holy occasion for the worship of the Phalaharini Kali. It is the day of a special festival at the Dakshineshwar temple. They will observe it with a special worship going late into the night. And the Master has made special preparations today with a view to worship the Mother of the universe. These preparations, however, have not been made in the temple, but privately in his own room at his desire. A wooden seat painted with alimpana, that rice powder pigment, is prepared for the Devi to sit on at the time of worship. It's been placed there in his room. That would be kind of like a plank, actually, a wooden plank about this big, probably with maybe either 4 legs or 2 runners underneath. So it sits on the floor and is decorated with this alimpana. And the sun has set, the new moon night, veiled in deep darkness, has alighted on the earth. Hridoy, the Master's nephew, has to perform a special worship of the Devi tonight in the temple. So he has therefore helped as much as possible in the preparations for Sri Ramakrishna's worship, and then has gone away to the temple. And the other priest, Dinu, he has finished the evening service and worship of Sri Radha Govinda, and he has come to help Sri Ramakrishna in the final preparations. And then 9 o'clock comes, when all the preparations for the mystery worship, as Swami Saradananda puts it, the mystery worship of the Devi are completed. In the meantime, the Master has sent word to the Holy Mother to be present during the worship. So she comes to the room. And everybody else leaves. Sri Ramakrishna closes and locks the door. And Sri Ramakrishna starts the worship. As you know, there are many preliminary rites, sipping water and sprinkling water, and outer purification, inner purification, all these rites, all these preliminary rites are completed. And then, once all the preliminary rites are completed, Sri Ramakrishna beckons to Holy Mother to take the seat of the Devi. And while she has been watching the worship, she has gone into a kind of ecstasy. a semi-conscious state. So without being fully aware of what she is doing, she moves and takes the seat, this seat which has been prepared by the Divine Mother. And she sits facing north to the right of Sri Ramakrishna, who is seated facing east. So Sri Ramakrishna facing east, and she is facing north as they're seated at right angles to each other. And then Sri Ramakrishna sprinkles her holy body with water again and again from the pitcher placed before him. And then there's the mantra and the prayer. And I looked hard to find this original mantra in Sanskrit. I couldn't find it yet. Maybe some of you can help. The English translation is, O Lady, O Mother Tripura Sundari, who art the controller of all powers, open the door to perfection. Purify her body and mind, manifest thyself in her, and be beneficent. Beneficent. And then afterwards, Sri Ramakrishna performs a special nyasa. Nyasa means placing. So he will touch Holy Mother's body, reciting the different mantras to further cement, as it were, the presence of the Divine Mother, further fix the presence of the Divine Mother in Holy Mother. And then he worships her with the 16 traditional articles as the Devi herself, including offering her a new cloth. And apparently, Holy Mother says that he even dresses her in a new sari. And ordinarily she would be mortified to be dressed like that by Sri Ramakrishna, but she is in a state of ecstasy. So she saw everything happening, but she felt no discomfort or anything. And then he feeds her with some fruits and sweets that are prepared nicely. And the Holy Mother enters into samadhi. And Sri Ramakrishna also enters into samadhi. He says, uttering mantras in a semi-conscious state. Now he describes, the worshipper in samadhi becomes perfectly identified and united in the self with the Devi in samadhi. A long time passes. The second quarter of the night has long passed. The master, happy in the self alone, now shows a little sign of regaining external consciousness. Returning to the semi-conscious state now as before, offers himself to the Devi. He now gives away forever to the lotus feet of the Devi his all. The results of his sadhanas and his mala, his japa mala, he lays at Mother's feet. So this incident, on the one, first we find that they are actually united in samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother never consummated their marriage on the physical plane. But we can see that here in samadhi, this is the true consummation of their marriage, when they were united in the divine. And then Sri Ramakrishna utters the famous mantra which we sing here every night. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Sarvartha Karini. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Karini. So what is it? So Sarvartha Sadhike, the fulfiller of all objects. In a sense, the doer of all action. He translates it like this: O thou auspiciousness itself of all auspicious things, O doer of all actions, O refuge, O three-eyed one, O thou fair complexioned spouse of Shiva, O Narayani, I bow down to thee, I bow down to thee. And then he writes, the worship is at an end. The master sadhana reaches its culmination with the worship of the ruler of the universe, the Divine Mother, in the body of a woman, who is the embodiment of spiritual knowledge itself. The God-man attains his perfection in all respects. So this is the real Mother's Day, when Holy Mother is when actually we feel that her divinity is awakened on this day. She may have been dimly aware of it, but on this day, when Sri Ramakrishna invokes Mother Tripura Sundari, known as Shorashi, who is beautiful as a 16-year-old maiden. She is Divine Mother conceived as a 16-year-old maiden. He worships her in that form, and her divinity is awakened. And then Sri Ramakrishna dedicates all the fruits of all his intense spiritual practices to her. So she becomes the Phalaharini, she who takes the fruits. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna didn't have the kind of fruits that we have. I'd like to turn for the few minutes we have left to some of the teachings of Swami Turiyananda. Swami Turiyananda is pictured up here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 from the front. He was one of Sri Ramakrishna's great disciples, monastic disciples, and he came to this country in, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly, it must have been 1899. He came when Swami Vivekananda came back to America for the second time. Swami Turiyananda, as well as Sister Nivedita, and there may have been some others, accompanied him on board the ship. And before too long, Swami Vivekananda sent him to California to look after the ashrama and the work in California. And we have some beautiful reminiscences of Swami Turiyananda from one Western devotee who became a monk, Gurudas Maharaj, Swami Atulananda. He was originally from the Netherlands, but he had emigrated to America and was living in America and became a brahmacharan, initiated into brahmacharya, and afterwards in India received the sannyasa. And he also in India received his initiation, his spiritual initiation from Holy Mother. So he also knew Swami Vivekananda, but he received his brahmacharya and sannyasa from Swami Abhedananda. And he was very, very close with Swami Turiyananda. In Shanti Ashrama, they lived together in one cabin. Can you imagine living with a giant like that? Not so easy. And Gurudas Maharaj records that in those days of the Shanti Ashrama, the word mother was constantly on Swami Turiyananda's lips. Mother tells me to do this, or mother wants me to tell you that. The Swami felt that the Divine Mother was guiding him in every way, that she was directing all his actions, even his speech. So we see how Swami Turiyananda embodies this idea of utter surrender and receiving the Mother's command. It was in the same spirit of trusting in God alone that the Swami was very strongly opposed to all planning. We make so many plans, but then we say, man proposes, God disposes, our Mother disposes. So the Swami Turiyananda and Swami Vivekananda also said, why do you plan? Mother makes the plans, you just do. Why do you plan? He says, why are you scheming? Why do you look so far ahead? Let Mother plan. Her plan comes true. Human planning is all in vain if she does not consent. She knows what will happen. The future is an open book to her. Live in the present. Make the best of your time and opportunities. Don't think of the future. Know it for certain that Mother's will shall come to pass. Trust in her. Only try to love her sincerely. Give yourself to her. Let her do with you as she wishes. This is really echoing Sri Ramakrishna taught to these American disciples at Shanti Ashrama. Let Mother do with you as she wishes. Throw yourself on her mercy. He did point out, trusting in Mother does not mean idleness. And here he gives a recipe. How do we then work? If we're not to make any plans, what do we do? He says, try to know her will and then be up and doing. like a man. Of course, he must have been speaking to men. Be up and doing like a woman. Be up and doing. Don't you see I am never idle? He was a very hard worker. He used to chop the wood also in the Shanti Ashrama. And he told he told Guru Das, see, if I did all this work, because otherwise you all wouldn't do. I have to set the example. So he did hard work. There was a lot of physical labor. The mind must be occupied some way or other. If you don't do physical work, you must use your mind. Read or study or meditate. And don't spend your time in idle gossip. Gossip breeds mischief. If you talk, talk of the Lord. Okay, we know all that, but we don't do it. Then he gives a beautiful description of Mother and how to see her. How do we see Mother? Where is Mother and how do we see her? How do we actually see her? He says, Mother is very proud and pure. She wears a heavy veil that none may lift except her children. Now, of course, all are children, but can you see in India of that time, women, at least sort of aristocratic women, wouldn't show their face before to the general public, and especially to men. They would wear a veil. And we know that Holy Mother, in Dairambadi was another question, but in Calcutta, she would cover her whole face with the veil. It would be hanging down so she could there might be a little hole where she could peek out when they were coming to make pranam. All they would see was a veil. They wouldn't be able to get a chance to see her face. So it's almost as if he's describing Holy Mother also. Mother is very proud and very pure. She wears a heavy veil that none may lift except her children. Of course, the young children are allowed to come, even when Mother's veiled, they're allowed to come and say, Ma, hi, here I am. When they look behind the veil, she is happy and smiles. So we have to lift the veil. One of the students asks, a young student asks Swami Turiyananda, what is Mother and where is she? She is everything and everywhere, he says. She permeates nature. She is nature. But talk won't do. You must lift the veil. Well, the natural question is how? How do we lift the veil? Indeed, the young man asks, how, Swami? Through meditation. With great emphasis, he said, meditate, meditate, meditate. What are you doing? You are frittering away your life. Think deeply. Pray to Mother. Go beneath the semblance of things to see the one reality in all. Have one aim in life, namely, to know Mother. So this is his prescription for us. How do we pull aside the veil? We have to meditate. And with what sankalpa, with what intention do we sit for meditation? One intention, one aim alone, to know the Mother, to know Mother. So considering all these teachings of Swami Turiyananda, there's an incident in his life which is deeply puzzling and mystifying. Utterly mystifying, actually. And I admit I have never quite forgiven him. Because his health, it was a tremendous strain. He was constantly teaching and with these group of disciples and devotees in Shanti Ashrama, and then going sometimes back to San Francisco to the city to hold classes and teachings, and then back to Shanti Ashrama, and tremendous cold in winter, and cold bath in winter that Guru Das said that he have to break the ice on the bucket in order to get the water to take his morning bath and all of that. So it was a very austere life. And his health had broken down, and so the devotees decided to send him back to India for some recuperation. The long sea voyage would do him well, and he also, when they suggested it to him, he also liked it, and he wanted to see Swami Vivekananda. He very much wanted to see Swamiji. This was 1902, was the spring of 1902. And so he's planning to go. And then Guru Das relates this conversation. He says, one evening just after dusk, when I entered the little cabin we shared together, the Swami told me of a vision he had had. The Divine Mother had come to him and had asked him to remain in the ashrama. But he had refused. Then she told him that if he stayed in the ashrama, the work would grow rapidly and many beautiful buildings would be erected. Still, he had refused. At last, she showed him the place full of disciples. And he said, "Let me go to Swamiji first." And the mother, with a grave countenance, vanished from his sight. And of course, we know that Swami Turiyananda did go back to India to see Swami Vivekananda. And of course, the mother knew very well. And Swami Turiyananda knows that the mother knows everything, but still he disobeyed her. And he could not meet Swami Vivekananda because he died before Turiyananda reached India. And it broke his heart. And it is as if the mother's power was withdrawn. Because after that, he didn't have the same power of teaching. He remained in India. He did a lot of tapasya, a lot of meditation. He taught some of the novices and wrote a lot of letters, inspiring letters. But that power of work that he had at Shanti Ashrama didn't come back to him. So why did he disobey the mother? He had the direct vision of the mother. He saw her face. He said her face looked very grave. What he saw, we don't know. But he disobeyed the mother. So let us, if we ever receive the direct command of Divine Mother, let us not refuse. Let us trust that Mother knows. We know that. He also knew that Mother knows best. But he had such a strong desire to see Swamiji, how he had a moment of foolishness when he couldn't accept that Mother knows best. And he couldn't imagine that Swamiji would leave his body before he got there, and so he wouldn't meet him. So the vision, says Guru Das, the vision had left him unhappy and disturbed in mind. "I have done wrong," he said with a sigh, "but it cannot be helped now." So he recognized that he's making a mistake, but still he did it. So it's a mystery. We can't explain this. But somewhere there's a lesson for us. Let us not disobey the command of the mother. I'd like to close with a beautiful excerpt from a letter he wrote to Guru Das. He wrote him a number of letters when Guru Das was at Shanti Ashrama and Swami Turiyananda was in San Francisco. We feel unhappy when we make ourselves small. This letter, but this passage, by the way, beautifully harmonizes the approach of bhakti and jnana, the approach of devotion and the approach of wisdom. We feel unhappy when we make ourselves small. We feel miserable when we think of ourselves as finite. That is the bane. Yet we forget and are in the whirlpool of Maya ever once again. But thanks to the grace of Mother, we remember it again soon. That idea that when we remember our true nature as infinite, we are in joy, and then we forget. But by Mother's grace, we remember again. And then he quotes the Upanishad, "There is no happiness in that which is finite. That which is finite is perishable. That which is universal is blissfulness itself." And then he tells Guru Das, "Know the universal. That is thy real self." May we never lose sight of this, our real self, which is the self of all, our dear Mother, whose children we are. In this one line, he brings both. May we never lose sight of this, our real self, which is the self of all, our dear Mother, whose children we are. I'd like to close by listening to the song that Sri Ramakrishna used to sing. If Madhura will sing it, Shokuli Tomari Icha. And I'll read the translation first. It's a Bengali song by, is it Ram Prasad song? A song by the great mystic Ram Prasad. And Sri Ramakrishna is constantly quoting this song. and singing it often. So this is an important song in our tradition. Thou art in truth self-willed, Redeemer of humankind. Thou workest thine own work. Men only call it theirs. This line is very clever. He says, Tomar karma, your work. Tumi koroma, oh mother, you are doing your work. Loke bole, people say, koriami, I'm doing. So people say, we all say, I'm doing, but you're doing your work. People are saying they're mistaken. They're saying I'm doing, but actually it's you, mother. It's all you. It's you. Thou it is that holdest the elephant in the mire. Thou that helpest the lame man scale the loftiest hill. On some thou dost bestow the bliss of Brahmanhood, yet others thou dost hurl into this world below. Thou art the moving force, and I the mere machine. The house am I, and thou the spirit dwelling there. I am the chariot, and thou the charioteer. I move alone as thou, O mother, movest me.
সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি পঙ্কে বন্ধ করো করি পঙ্গুরে লঙ্ঘাও গিরি পঙ্কে বন্ধ করো করি পঙ্গুরে লঙ্ঘাও গিরি করে দাও মা ব্রহ্মপদ করে করো অধগামী করে দাও মা ব্রহ্মপদ করে করো অধগামী সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি আমি যন্ত্র তুমি যন্ত্রী আমি ঘর তুমি ঘরণী আমি যন্ত্র তুমি যন্ত্রী আমি ঘর তুমি ঘরণী আমি রথ তুমি রথী যেমনি চালাও তেমনি চলি আমি রথ তুমি রথে যেমনি চালাও তেমনি চলি সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা
So on this Mother's Day, may we dedicate ourselves to the Mother and dedicate ourselves to purifying our hearts so that we may finally lift the veil and see Mother's face and know that she is the doer and that she is doing. And when we learn this, we shall not make a false step, and we shall be ever in bliss, in the blissful company of the Mother. And we will feel kinship with all human beings everywhere, because then we know all, without exception, are the Mother's children. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to share some thoughts on the Divine Mother today, Mother's Day. Now we'll have the Arati, and I think you know the routine, right?